All right, so here we are for episode 4 of Mom's Crib. I have the wonderful, wonderful blessing to be in the presence of a person called Rich Kid with two D's,
How you doing?
right?
Yeah.
Spell it right,
Double
spell it
D.
right. Double D. Now, this
Yes,
man
sir.
has done production for, a who's who of artists. I could start with song with Nelly Furtado, Chaos, a few songs with Chaos, Maestro Fresh West. Who said that Rich Kid, he credited you for being the dude who tweaks him sometimes in the studio in terms of flow, like a mentor of his. You've done work with Socrates, you've done work with Cardinal Official, you've done work with DMX. I'm talking about
Yes, sir.
Darkman X. Um,
Yep.
you put in some work, man. You put in some work, and I feel blessed to be, you know what I'm saying, having this convo with you, chopping it up with you, and for you to join me on your busy schedule on the road, no less.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Troy. Coming live from Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. Okay, listen, let's talk real talk. So I remember the very first time that I met you was when I went to Toronto to film a video of Maestro, and he invited me, told me, "Yo, Rich Kid's doing his launch. He's doing a show. I'll give you a plus
Mhm.
two." And little
Yep.
did I know, because I got introduced to you later. In all reality, I know Montreal, Toronto, underground artists. We don't know everyone. I heard your music. I'd seen what you were doing, but I didn't know the extent of what you were doing until I got there to
Yep.
realize that IMO, in my opinion, was your 10-year anniversary of a
Yep.
super celebrated album, which I listened, by the way, and I loved. Like on some real,
Thank you.
real ish. I love it's. You're a producer who has boom bap qualities. Then again, you have super mainstream, like major label qualities. You do records at times that are super radio records. Then you have records that I see a lot on your album, which are just. It's like Kanye holding on to his fly stuff. That's how it felt listening to your album. And you've done one album. I know you've done mixtapes. One album. How come?
Like, why is Kanye inspiration?
My real question is you've dropped
Mm.
one official album. You dropped a record with Sunreal,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
One album, which is super celebrated, but you've done clearly more stuff. I really researched
Hmm.
everywhere. Or you have it on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, it's like I had a lot to say at that time. At this point, I have more to say, which is going to come out on a new project this year.
Nice.
But
Okay.
for the longest time, I didn't feel like I really had anything to say past that. Like, and if I did, you probably see it on Twitter, probably see it on Instagram. But I felt like I said all I needed to say at the time. Right?
Wow.
I'm a man of few words, more actions than words. You feel me?
Pardon me. Pardon me.
Bless you,
Listen,
brother.
I thank you. I
Bless.
appreciate you. Listen, I feel like it's confident to drop one album, considering that people who are super respected, like I said, Maestro literally said, "This guy, man, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that my OG is still fresh whenever we record songs. He'll tell me, take this word out, take a little breather here." Word
Hmm.
for word, Socrates told me, "Yo, there was an era where I was only on Rich Kid beats, like only on Rich Kid beats," and
Yeah.
these are respected people. For me, I'm an artist, and I just respect everything they've done, and they respect everything you've done. So I get it, and I respect it because I'm here interviewing you, and you've done one album. Officially, you did one album, but I mean, we on some Rich Kid shit had a lot of volumes. What is it, 6, 7 volumes? And what was the inspiration and strategy behind that?
Yeah. So the strategy was, I would produce a lot of stuff for different artists around the in that year, and
Dope.
I wanted to find a way to kind of compile it together.
Hmm.
And Caravana was the time where the whole city was kind of lit. It's summertime. The whole
Every
world
year,
is in
go.
Toronto, just vibing in.
The world
And
is
yeah,
watching,
I
man.
wanted to, yeah. Say what?
The world is watching Caravana. Like, if I knew three things about Toronto coming up, we used to go to for Caravana, 100%. All right, it's
Yep,
dope.
yep. You catch a 1-2 bubble, a 1-2 wine, and
Absolutely.
and lime out. But like, yeah, like I wanted to press CDs with all my music and be able to just give them to, like, because back in the day, Young Street used to be the spot to be at Friday night at Caravana. where you
Gotcha.
see guys with the big Hummers, Range
100%. The
Rovers,
rides were out. Girls dancing on top of the
right?
cars. 100%.
Those are just out there stunting and just smoking, drinking, having fun before it got lame. But I'd be giving out my CDs to different
Before it
people out
got
there.
lame.
Yeah, yeah, like police kind of like put
I get it.
a
Yeah,
grip on.
they calm it down. They
Exactly.
calm it
So
down.
I seen in whips with like booming systems, and I'd be giving them my CD, and they'd be like, "Yo, like, nah, it's okay, I don't want to buy it." I'm like, "Yo, this is for free." I'm
You'd
like,
be
"Just bump it
giving
right
them.
now while I'm here."
Yo, let's
Right?
listen to
So they
this
play it.
marketing strategy. Rich Kid would give his
Right?
CDs, spend his money,
Yeah.
gift to CDs just to make sure that they were popping in the streets. Honestly, that's big. I heard the Tommy Hilfiger at first. I legit heard that from a
Yeah.
legit source. They went to the hood in the
Yeah.
U.S., Harlem, shit like that. They would give out the gear. They knew who the hot boys were. They knew how to get it lit in the streets. Everybody else wanted
Yeah.
to connect. I get it. So go on. That's dope.
Yeah. Like
Smart.
my strategy, but without the colonization or appropriation. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would. But I would like give it to the
Talk
niggas
it.
with the booming system, so they could drive down and drive down the street and bump that shit. They listen to it. They'd be like, "Oh shit, this you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I made all the beats on this shit." They're like, "Yo, this shit is tough, man. I'm gonna look out for your shit." And those would end up being people that would come to my shows, people that would promote my shit online. This is the
Dude,
days of
you're
like my
smart. I think you're a smart promoter.
yeah,
I don't know all your story, but I do know this. I went to go see a show of yours that you were headlining. I know you had some friends
yep,
show up, but it was a packed venue, Drake
yep,
Hotel, a lot of people. Not a lot of
yep.
artists could do that. You know what I'm saying? So, and not a lot of artists who have one official album. But here's a question. You say you didn't have a lot to say. I don't believe that. I personally think I call that like luxury content. You know what I'm saying? Like when you drop it, it has value to it because everyone hits you up for production. So
Yep.
someone that I interviewed recently said, I said, where does the inspiration go? They said, where the bag go. Is it because you're making it was more building a business with the production? Because you're on everybody's shit.
Not like to be completely honest. It was like I just really didn't have much to say about after I dropped that. Like I just didn't. Like I did, but I felt like I would be talking about the same shit that I did, like that I already did. I wanted to live more life, right? So now at
I
this point,
get that.
10 years later from when I released the last project, I feel like I have so much to talk about. I have so much life that I lived.
Your life
I've
has
been around the
changed.
world.
Yeah,
I have 2 kids now. You know
let's
what I
get
mean?
it.
Like I'm I'm
How
I'm
old are your kids? How old are your
OG.
kids? How old are your
I
kids?
got a 7-year-old and I got a 4-month-year-old or a 4 month
Congrats.
old.
Four
Yeah,
month old. Congrats. That's
thank
new. Blessings. I got a
thank
7-year old and a five
you.
year
Yeah,
old. So I know what it is.
beautiful.
Having kids is a different kind of motivation, different kind of peace of mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I see what you're talking about having new stories to tell. I took a break, not
Yeah.
like yours. I rapped early. Then afterwards, I took a massive break, and then I dropped a bunch of albums now in a couple of years because I had so much to say after leaving for so long. But I agree, if you rap it for
Mm-hmm.
the past 10, 12 years, maybe you might feel as though, has my life
Yep.
changed enough to drop the content?
Exactly. And you just feel like you're repeating shit sometimes. Like I love Nas. Nas is one of my favorite rappers, but I feel like his 6 album run in the last 4 years, I felt like I'm just getting a lot of reminisce rap. You
You
know
know
what I mean?
what?
Like I feel
You 100% are, and I think he takes himself
he's
as that.
dope. He's lyrically, he's still on point and sharp.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm just getting a lot of reminisce rap. I'm not getting
By
nothing
the way,
about his relationship life. I'm not getting really too much in depth. That's why I love Life is Good. Because Life is Good was such an album where you got to hear him talk about his daughter. You know what I mean?
by the
Hear him
way,
talch about his breakup
love what
with
you
his
just
with
said.
you know?
Love what you just said because I'm a big Nas
Mm-hmm.
fan. He's up there, my
Mm-hmm.
favorite rapper of all time. I got great rappers. Like I hate that one top. I got top 15 of guys who are really up there as the champions, but Nas is definitely
Yep.
up there. And I agree with one thing. Sometimes it's dope to hear your favorite rapper's voice. You know he has the lyrical dexterity. You know the production's going to be on point. You know you like his voice. And you know he's not going to front.
Yep.
But at the same time, I agree, Life is Good was a real moment. He had a real moment with Khalees. His life was changing. It was real. When you see the difference between Illmatic and it was written. It was real. His life has changed. He went a little bit more dawn because he had more money. So it was a
Yep.
necessary album, and I take them both as glorious as they are. I don't put it as Illmatic. It was written is just as high to me. So I get your
It's
point.
just
Sometimes because you see changes, right? The vocab changing. You're right. I totally agree. Listen, I want to get into your content, but again, I'm an artist, so I try to understand what you mean by that. Although I dropped
yeah.
4 albums in 2 years, one of them was about relationships, really just a little more of the fuckboyness. Sorry for the swear word. One of them was more after love. My baby mama just left me, and it was more emotional.
Yep.
One of them was day one, where I talked about coming up. It was this. One of them was Real City, which was
Yep.
more respect to my city. So I get your point. If you're doing
Yep.
the same thing every time, is there a real difference in terms of content? I agree.
And for me, it's like I love like even Kendrick. Like Kendrick is one of my favorite artists. You know, I've opened up for Kendrick a few times. Kendrick's even in my top
Wow!
five. And
Hold on,
yeah,
hold that. My man opened up for Kendrick
yeah,
a few times. Can we drop the mic for that?
yeah,
That's insane. You chopped it up with him?
yeah,
Did you get a
yeah, yeah,
chance?
yeah, man. Like
Woo!
I was in the studio when they were working on Good Kid, Mad City. Like I was there for a lot of that. I've seen a lot of TDE rise. You know what I mean? I've been to Absol's crib. Like you know what I mean?
You
Like
were in the
J
studio.
Rock is my bro, like big bro. So
Okay, so who you said was Big Bro? Top?
J Rock.
J Rock is Big Bro out of LA. Now here's the
I've
thing.
never I've never met Top, surprisingly. But
Well, brothers
yeah,
move in certain ways. But then you mentioned that you were in the studio for the crafting
yeah,
of Good Kid, Mad City. So I
yes,
asked this
sir.
to Maestro when he heard them talking about Nas, talking about Live at the Barbecue. Did you feel like something different was happening?
Yeah, yeah, like the thing is like when I started going to LA is when my manager put me on to Kendrick, and
Mm-hmm.
from when I heard his music, I was like, he's pretty dope. I like him. It was his EP project that had come out. But then when they had told me like, yo, you're gonna be opening up for Kendrick, we're gonna bring him out to Toronto, he had dropped Section 80, and I couldn't stop listening to it. That song High Power, I was just like, yo, this nigga's like
Let's get it.
I remember after our performance, I told, or actually, I opened up for him in New York as well, and I was in the green room.
Ooh, that's hard.
I always say this. I was just like, yo, bro, yo, you're like the next Nas, and then he's just like, yo, respect, bro. I'm like, nah, fuck that. You're the next Kendrick Lamar,
I
and
like
then
that.
we all laughed at that shit, and he's become one of the biggest in the game. You dig what I'm
What you
saying?
said
Like,
was real, though.
you know,
What you said was real. And in terms of
yeah,
placement in history, if you had to think of
mm-hmm,
Drake being more Jay Z, him being more Nas, and this is beyond their beef. That forget what they're talking about right now. I'm talking about in terms of placement,
yeah,
in terms of success, and content and
mm-hmm,
energy. I don't disagree with
yeah.
that at all, at all, at all. Okay,
I
so
mean, like he's a storyteller. He's a storyteller just like Nas was, right? So it's like if you wanted to compare apples to apples or whatever, like you would say he's in that Nas, like he's in that conscious rap type of view, but he can still give you those bops. He can still give you a
absolutely,
humble. He can still give
yeah,
you,
yeah,
what I mean, joint that backseat freestyle. But a lot of the content is deeper meaning shit, and I love how he spaces his albums out because it shows that one, he takes a lot of time to put work into what he's doing, right? Like
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of intention, there's a lot of storytelling, there's a lot of like life that he's lived that he's putting into it. And his last album, I think, was very good, like in terms of showing or dispelling the notion of black people going to therapy is a bad thing, right? Because that was the
I
first year
get
I
it.
went to therapy, 2022, and then the album came out, and I was just like, wow, this really
That's
normalized
wild.
therapy.
Let's
You
talk
know what I
about
mean? For
mental
like
health.
for
Let's
real.
talk about mental health. I get it. I get it. I can't even front. Only time I did therapy was with my ex,
Like
before we got
couple therapy.
separated. Baby mom's right.
It's still
And I
therapy.
remember,
That's still good though.
yeah, yeah. I remember thinking in my head that I was being as forthcoming as I could. I realized today couples
Mm.
therapy, in my opinion, and what do I know about everything in life, is a little harder to get to the root of things because there's another person in the room. I feel like when you're the only person in the room with another person that you don't know, the depth to which you could get of discomfort is probably going to be different. So that's what I could have walked away with. But sometimes you need somebody else with a neutral opinion. 100%. 100%.
Were they black? Was it a black therapist?
I was a white therapist.
It Because I'm not. Yes, race doesn't always matter when it comes to certain things, but sometimes I feel like you just need a black therapist, man. Like
There's real things.
one with lived experience. One with lived experience, right? Because we as black people, like we go through shit that white people can't understand. They could only
100%.
hear about it and maybe address it in certain ways. But we need more black therapists out here that understand lived experience to like help guide us through these,
Listen,
fucking microaggressions that we face
I
every
agree.
day.
I agree 100,000,000%. I think one of the things about life is,
Every day, like only
you
certain
know,
people can understand that shit.
I agree with you at 1,000,000%, and I'm glad that you raised that point. I think one of the things
Mm-hmm.
with why there aren't that many, it's a kind of a vicious circle. Culturally, we don't
Yeah,
look towards therapy. So professionally, we don't look to become therapists because we don't think that our people would spend for that. You know what I'm saying? And then I always have this chip
yeah.
on my shoulder of, for a white person to hire me for shit, it got to be an insert in. Like they have to feel as though they can't go around it. Meaning they'll hire us for athleticism because they see it. They'll hire us for a lot of things. But I always have this thought: do they see us as therapists? Would they entrust us with their mental health? Do they
Mm.
respect our humanity as much? That's a whole other conversation on black culture,
It's
right?
deep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you become a black therapist, is your audience going to be white and black? Like, I do music. You're a musician full time. I'm a musician, but I left for a while. So, become a personal trainer and making money off fitness is how I got up. And I was able
Dope.
to get, like, clientele, which is white, black, mostly white. Um, Oftentimes, you would say there's a little bit more money in that community. And what you can
Yeah.
say, which is kind of controversial, is you know that we the top of athletes. You know that low key in any sport.
And that's probably why because to a fat white guy, he's looking at you like, yo, look at this black ass man, Dago
Bingo.
ass nigga.
He's this
This nigga
age.
the fuck
He's this. No, but
from
listen. I would hear it
like
all the
you.
time. How old are you? That's how you look. How old are you? And right away, like they would get into the knowledge and stuff, but it's almost like if they almost know what the history is. And yes, we work hard, but there's also a history of forced labor that makes us, when we put in work, a different type of athlete. So if you become a therapist, I think they know they kept us away from school for a long time. So now they're like, how much does he really know? Think about what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm not getting into this big combo because my videographer's white and he's uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable right now. He's like, yo, it's Public Enemy in the house.
Practically gonna get edited out.
He's like, man, what's going on here? Okay, so listen, we could talk about so many things, and I love that you're
Yeah.
that kind of an artist. I want to know this though.
Mm.
You could talk your shit. You seem like a very humble, grounded, open-minded, forward-thinking person. We're talking about therapy, but you also can
Yeah.
stunt. You won Junos, like you were nominated, and then you won Junos. You want to talk about that? You want to tell me like about the experiences of? Okay, so did you get
Yeah.
nominated and then win, or did you win right away? I know you won
No,
with
I was.
Naturally Born Strangers.
Yeah. So I got my first nomination was with
Shout out.
Sunreal. Yeah.
Shout out
So
to
I did the
Sunreal.
project with Sunreal. That was
What
when I
year
was
was
with
that?
Black Boxer. That was 2013. We got nominated, and
Honestly,
then
I listened. It's smooth. Like you have great rhyme skills, great production, and
mhm.
he can sing and rap. Like what you
Yeah.
did was very, very pleasing to the ear, to the average pop listener, but also some real rap. I loved it. I thought it was dope.
I, like I think it threw a lot of people for a loop because of the music that I was putting out before that. They were like, "Why would you do your first album with Sunreal?" And I was like, "Listen, man. Like, one, I'd already produced for him. I knew how talented he was. I
Because he's
knew he could
talented.
sing. I pushed him to sing more. Like,
He
I
could
was because
sing.
I've seen 40 do it with Drake, push him into singing more. Right.
Oh,
So
okay.
my whole thing with
That did it
Sun
for
was just
Drake.
like, oh, yeah, yeah, for
Drake could
sure,
rap,
for
but if
sure.
he wasn't singing, I don't know that same trajectory would have been the same. I do agree with
It
that.
added such a better like more dimensions. And
Hmm.
Sunreal was already kind of singing, but I wanted him to go further with it because I felt like I always told him, I'm like, bro, you're gonna be the rap Justin Bieber, fam. You're gonna be the
You know
rap
what?
Justin Bieber.
I
Like,
kind of see that.
ladies are gonna like your look. You know what I mean? Because he's older than me. He's a year older than me, but he looks younger
Wow.
than me.
Yeah.
So everybody thought I was like his OG, but
It was
like
youthful energy.
we're right. But he's very versatile.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, he's
Okay.
very versatile. So I wanted to one be able to cross over and make some stuff where I felt I could have my nieces listen to it. I could have my parents listen to it, but then also have fun, like go cross these borders of just not just talking to the hood, but talking to these college white kids. You know what I mean? So there's a song on there called "Fuck Yeah," and the song is like basically Project X in audio form.
Wow.
And it's like every time we went to college and performed
Raging!
like just some turned up college music shit. Like I just wanted to get in that bag, right? So yeah,
Listen.
so that was a crossover thing for me, and then it also was like my first time executive producing an album, right? Like I had
Okay,
never
so
done
you
that
were
before.
entrusted with the musical direction of the record with Sunreal. So
Yeah,
they
I
didn't tell
produced most
you.
of it.
They didn't tell you
Yeah,
we're gonna go this lane. You knew that you wanted to go in this musical arena, and was able to have
yeah,
the thoughts and then the creative vision.
yeah. We went to LA to record it,
Okay.
and the additional producers on it: Arthur MacArthur, Beat Merchant, Chin and Jetty,
Shout out to those Shout
who
out to
else?
those kings.
Boost. Yeah, like they all helped bring this project to life, and they're all the homies. I kind of introduced them to Sun. Like, so while we were
Okay.
out there in LA, we worked at the studio that I work at, Truth Studios, and
You
we
mostly
just
work out of
we
LA or Toronto in general? This is with or without Sunreal.
mainly
What do you
work
work
out,
out of?
but whenever I'm in LA, I go to Truth Studios. My man
Gotcha.
Nick is the engineer over there, and his spot is just like a spot we could camp out for we camped out for like 8-9 days and smashed the whole record out. We probably only did 2 records in Toronto, and then we did the rest in LA. So the
Eight,
records
nine
we did in
days.
Toronto were
You
yeah,
wrote fresh. Y'all
yeah,
sat there for 8 days, didn't get out. 8 days, nothing was written before.
great recording,
That's a think tank. That's hard.
right? So yeah, so the closers, and it did pretty well for me in terms of just getting my name out there on a
Yeah.
more wider level. What we're
Introducing you to a
nominated
new
for in
audience.
yep. And then in my opinion got nominated the next year
Dope.
on 2014.
Man, it's so
And
hard.
then it was the year after was Naturally Born
Naturally
Strangers,
born
which
strangers.
was a project with Brian Espiritu, one of my homies, big homies.
Okay.
I met him back in the remix days when I was in Remix Project,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a sick graphic designer. He started making this brand called Legends League. I'm rocking the coat.
That's dope.
As
That's a
you can
sick
see, Legends
jacket.
League,
That's a sick jacket.
right? I always get compliments rocking this shit.
That's butter. That's
Yeah,
butter.
that's their collaborative. So he came to me. He was like, "Yo, I'm making a capsule line for it called Naturally Born Strangers. Like, you want to make like a mixtape for it?" I'm like, "Yeah, dope. Let's do it." But I wanna get Tona and Adam Bomb on there because those are 2 of my favorite rappers from Toronto, right?
So those are
And he
favorite
was just
rappers
like,
that
"Yeah,
weren't the homies. Y'all just got together on some Justice League. You rap dope. You rap dope. This wasn't even home like day one.
like they're the homies, but like they're when I was coming up, I was looking at them at like, yo, I want to work with that guy. Like I
That's dope.
remember Tona, like he made that mixtape called Don't Holla, where he had the
Okay.
tape over his mouth. And I remember my homie was like pressing CDs at the time, and he was
Yeah.
pressing it for Tona, and he gave me a CD. And I was just like, yo, this nigga's hard. And over
Yo, Tona's
time,
hard, bro. Tona's
yeah,
hard, bro. There's a couple of his joints. I kind of got introduced to Tona last year. Tona's hard. When I
yeah,
realized you, Adam Bomb, and Tona were together, and then I saw and heard Sriracha, I was like, man, like, dope.
yeah.
Just hard, hard,
No,
hard.
Tona has just been one of like the most legit rappers. Plus, I used to see like there was that DVD that used to go around, the Real Toronto. So he's on
Okay.
there rapping, right? So I was just like, yo, I fuck with this guy. And
You
then
had seen,
Adam
homie.
Bomb,
Yeah.
yep, Adam Bomb was part of Empire, right? The group with Scandalous, Trey the Rhyme Animal, Friday, who does We Love Hip Hop Now.
Okay.
40 was part of
Oh, okay.
that group as well. 40 was a
40 was
producer in
part of a
Empire.
group with Atom Bomb?
Yeah,
I
they were
didn't know. I
called
just
Empire.
love to hear these links, bro, because I'm an Atom Bomb. Good cat. That's hard. That's dope. What
Yeah.
year was
So,
that?
so I produced for Empire, and then I
Hmm.
had done some beats for both of them respectively. So
Yeah.
I already like, and then I did a one track that's on the We on Some Rich Kid shit called No More with Tona Atom Bomb, and the way that these niggas came on the
Ooh.
track was
No more. I
just
gotta peep that
amazing.
song.
So,
Atom Bomb and Tona. I gotta peep that.
yeah.
I love that. All right,
So
so
I was just like, yo, let's do the project with them. Ryan was with it. We spent every Wednesday at the studio at Remix, with a little bottle of Jamie,
let's
after
get it.
hours, just putting it
Let's get it.
together, and that's what came out of it.
I love that. One, I get the visual of y'all drinking Irish whiskey. Was that an Atom Bomb hookup? Like I know Jameson because I used to bartend when I lived in New York. How do y'all slip Jameson? That's the regular for y'all. Y'all came up on
It
Jameson.
just thing because even before that, I would say I was more of a rum guy.
Okay.
Like there's different liquors for different eras. So I would say I
If you
started
like
off as
rum,
a guy.
mm-hmm.
And then there was a vodka era, you know what I mean? The Grey Goose Belvedere era.
hundred
But
percent,
then I
hundred
moved
percent.
on,
Okay,
and
so
then there was a whiskey era in the city. I don't know. It was like it's very there was always there was in between there was always a Henny era.
if
You know
you,
what I
that's
mean?
for
It's just
sure.
different things.
Henny's everything. That's
Henny.
like the foundation. But if you do like whiskey, try with ginger ale. Jack and ginger is pretty good. What else?
Yeah.
If you like rum,
Mm,
I don't know how much you'll find it in
yep.
Toronto. With Balbo Cool is a Haitian rum that's like super highly touted. Try it out if you're a rum
Mm,
person. Yeah,
I'm gonna
hundred
try that.
percent. All right. Okay, so the mixtapes, all the music.
Yes,
I've
sir.
noticed that on streaming sites you have the closures with Sunreal. You have, in my
Yep.
opinion, you have one
Yep.
other song with a woman, with a female, that I forget her name. But all the mixtape stuff, do you have it on other platforms?
That shit was all on that piff. Right now, what I'm trying to do is re-upload my website so I can put all the mixtapes on there. But the only issue is sample clearance. There's a lot of sample clearance issues,
Uh,
right? So, especially with Naturally Born Strangers, like there's a one song where I'm flipping fucking Radiohead. Like we're not we're not clearing that. So, so that album kind of lives on the internet pretty much, right?
that's
Like
wild.
it's floating.
I know I got in my couple albums a bunch of samples that are uncleared. Like, is it because you're on a major label that now you're more on the radar? Because I know personally, there's no way. Some of the dudes that I know who produce, especially on the underground, like samples are all over the place. Is it? I know Socrates likes to replay a lot of the stuff. You get
Yeah.
tagged by a lot of sample issues.
Um, I have like with the Naturally Born Strangers project. That one song that I'm talking about with Radiohead, we
Yeah.
got flagged on SoundCloud for that,
Wow.
right? So SoundCloud was able to read the sample within the beat
That's wild.
because I had flipped it, but not like flipped it in a way where you wouldn't recognize. Like even
Hmm.
the hook is still so.
Massive records will do
Yeah,
that. Massive.
yeah, right. And I've seen certain guys like, for example, a homie of mine, Decisive,
Yeah.
rapper from Toronto. He got hit with
Yeah.
Yeah, he got hit with some sample clearance issues on a Lamont Dozier song, and I was just kind of worried, like if we put this out, it's on different. Sorry, my daughter's here rolling on the floor.
That's all good.
Yeah, she chilling. You want to come say hi, Kate? Okay.
That's lovely, bro.
Yeah, so
You're talking to a dad, man. Hey. Let's get it. Is she musical? Is she musically inclined yet?
are you musically inclined? You like music? You want to sing
There
one
we
day?
go. Nice.
Yeah.
You want to sing on the Daddy's Beats? Do you like his
Oh yeah.
music?
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so soon enough we're gonna. What's your artist name though? Do you know
You
your
have an artist name yet?
No.
So just
gotta
go by KK for.
All right, so listen, I got to talk about Socrates and Redman. Let me get two.
Yes.
Do you even remember? Like you seem to produce for so many people. I have a theory that's why you're not dropping so many albums. You could eat off the production, and there's more money in producing. Let's talk about Socrates and Redman. Like, did you was
Yeah.
it a studio together in Toronto? Was it another city?
So it was Socrates that introduced me to Redman.
Mm-hmm.
They had a show at the Rock Pile, I think, one year in Etobicoke, and I think Redman needed some weed, so I had my home come through,
Let's
bring
get
some
it.
trees,
Couple calls,
um,
refreshments.
yeah, made a couple calls, pulled up on it, and it wasn't even a real like long kind of meeting. Like it just kind of dropped it to him. He dapped me. He's just like, "Yo, like, thank you, da 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 da." And then I'd given Sock some beats to kind of
Mm-hmm.
rock with,
Yep.
not thinking they were gonna go to Redman. He was in the States doing a studio session with him.
Mm-hmm.
Redman and Socks are tight like this. Socks is Gilla House and all that. So
Absolutely.
he was working on his album Reggie, and I guess Socks showed him that joint for Let Me Get To, and he called me, and he's just like, "Yo, Red's here. He's loving this beat that you made." I'm
I
like,
love the
"Sick," and then he
loyalty. I
played
love the
he,
loyalty.
right, bro. Like Socks is giving me so many alley oops, bro. Like I feel like me and Socks in our era is like that same. That LeBron and D Wade, where D Wade's
That's
running like this, and
beautiful.
LeBron.
Hundred
You know what I
percent.
mean? Like,
It got to be about like equal leveled kings to be passing the ball. It can't just be about one person being the main generator. And you guys seem to really look
yeah,
out for each other and at high level of skill,
yeah,
production, singing, rapping.
yeah.
Like that track is underground, but it's kind of pop. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's you
It's
have that
it was a very pop album for Redman, because he was like using auto tune on that album and stuff
right.
like
So I'm
that.
not
Like
crazy.
I
I knew that
some
was a little more
some
pop.
yeah, like some people didn't really like the album as much, because it was like he was still rapping his ass off, but it was like it was still in the realm of him trying new things. And at that time, for any artist to try new things, is just,
Absolutely.
especially like a older school artist,
Hundred
like
percent.
the hip hop enthusiasts,
I
what I mean? They
love
be
that you're
hating on that.
talking that, bro. That's that real talk. I mean, as that real talk.
Just
Maybe
yeah.
Redman was living a life a little bit different. He wanted to get a little more like it is what it is. Let an artist be an artist.
You hear him say that in the song. He's like, "Yo, I'm trying new food, like Thai food, and I'm taking place." Like you can tell he's had
Straight
some growth.
up.
Like just he's talking about where he's been and how life has changed him in the rap game. So it's like I like the song just because it's like you're hearing a new side of Red.
Listen, you gotta let people live. I'm the
It's
kind of
not
dude
it's
that
not it's not just lyrical miracle Red. It's like I'm living like I'm experienced now,
you gotta let brothers live. Like you said, the album of
for
Nas,
sure.
Life is Good, is probably not the favorite artist of the typical rap purist. That's Nas opening the door, giving you songs about his daughters growing up. Like personally, I choose these moments. I will obviously have some albums that I like more with certain rappers, but I like to feel as
For
though this
sure.
is an artist and this is a page out of their artistry. And you could like this one more than the other one, but let him paint. Don't tell him we really like that painting. Do it 9 times. And I think
For
specifically
sure.
guys like Nas and Redman. Redman's like a really
Mm-hmm.
boom bap legend, so I'm sure that's what they want every time.
Yep.
I'm glad that you were a part of that. DMX, you worked with DMX in 2012, Last Hope.
Yep.
I don't even know if you made that math because he had an album after that called Exodus, like I think a month or two after he died. But that album
Yep.
that you're a part of that has a video, so we're clear.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't just see your
Yep.
song as an album track, is the last album of a living DMX.
Yeah.
That's symbolic. That's
Um,
symbolic, man. Like, were you in the
and I
studio?
would
Did you have
say
any?
probably his most pop, like, I it's not necessarily like a like a club banger or anything like that, or any of
Mm,
his most popping tunes, but I would say his last song that I feel like people got the real feel of DMX, because he's speaking
right.
his pain on that shit. And like
That's what
that's
it's
the
about.
X that I grew up loving. Like, what I mean? X was
Absolutely.
one of my favorite, or is one of my favorite rappers of all time. So, for him to jump on
He's
that beat, and him to even say the line like, "When I heard this beat and hook, it was so raw. Looked in the mirror,
right.
didn't like what I saw." Just like,
Wow, dude,
I wanted to punch something. I did
that's
punch. I
insane.
punched a couple things. in like just like wow, one of my like rap idols is
Heroes.
telling you guys that he loves the beat while he's on the beat.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right. I would have fell to the ground watching that. And I think DMX,
Yeah,
I
and
think
and
he's top
and
five artist to me.
that's originally, it's like it's the craziest thing because that is a Drake beat, right? Like the original is Drake and
What?
Cardinal. Yeah, so the original is Drake and Cardinal and
Stop.
Andrina Mill.
Hold on. Drake, Cardinal,
Yeah,
Adrena Mill are on the record. Original song that ended up
yeah. So
becoming Last Hope of DMX.
yeah, so the original song is called Last Hope as well. Like it's on Drake's mixtape Comeback Season, right? That came out in '07.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew you were on that.
So
I didn't know that was the make. I didn't make that link.
yeah. So it's just like, Drake, you makes it, he gets like I have a version of Last Hope where it's Drake on 2 verses. But he ended up getting Cardi on that, putting Cardi on the first verse. It's like a track passing the torch down, from Cardi
Literally.
to Drake. The hook is amazing. I put out the instrumental on YouTube, so everybody does their rendition to it. Styles
Nice.
P does a rendition to it.
Really?
Dragon does a rendition to it. Ransom does a rendition to it. The Tory Lanez did one. Like all these different rappers did their own version to
Last
that
Hope.
beat. To Last Hope, yeah. I would
That's
say
crazy.
it's probably my most popular beat in terms of like just being that one where people wanted to like make that
to rock on it, to put their story to
type
it.
of rap.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's a
Everyone.
retrospective kind of feel to it. And if you most people keep Andrina on the hook because they love the hook. Like Andrina
Great
is
voice.
the
100%.
centerpiece of everything, right?
I agree.
So my man Snaz, amazing producer, he was working with Dame Grease at the time, and
Woo, Harlem King.
they were all in the studio.
I love
And
that
he
sound.
said, Snaz he showed them the beat, and he was like, "Yo, can we get the instrumental for it?" So Snaz calls me, and he's like, "Yo, I'm in the studio with X and Dame Grease. He want that Last Hope beat. Can you send that?"
That's
I'm like,
wild.
"Yeah, of course." And then I hear him in the back. They're like, "Yo, this beat's fire. The beat's fire." I'm like, "All right, look." Sent that, and he did the track. Grease called me. He's like, "Yo, we're gonna put this out. It's just gonna be mixtape shit." I'm like, "Cool." Then he hit me that like I stayed in contact with Dame Grease for a while. After that, he was just like, "Yo, we're gonna shoot a video for this." I'm like, "Bet."
I'm telling you.
But
So hold on. Did you have to tell them? Oh, by the way, this came out in Canada on a mixtape by a kid called Drake, who's not really known right now. He was actually at the time.
They already knew. It's just X didn't really care. He didn't know. X didn't know who Drake was at the time, right? So X does the video for it. They give me my credit on that. Whatever, you know what I mean? Like when you look at the credits in the video, it says produced by Rich Kid, whatever. And then he debuts. Okay, so he goes on 106 in Park to debut it, right? But he wasn't a scheduled guest. He just went there.
That's X.
He wasn't.
He just pulled up.
106 in Park.
He bum rushed 106 with your record. He bum rushed 106 with your record.
Him and Swiss Beats. So he was dropping 2 records. He came with
Double
one
R.
record with Swiss Beats, and the other was Last Hope, and debuted it on 106 in Park. So I remember Roxy and Terrence, the host, she was asking him. She's just like, "Yeah, so how do you feel like sampling a Drake beat?" And he's just like, "Oh, that was his? Well, thanks for the beat." He just kind of like brushed it off.
He's like, whatever.
Like, yo, so they're like, do you respect artists like Drake? He's like, honestly, I don't listen to none of that stuff. I'm only listening to what I'm doing.
I love that you remember this shit like it was yesterday.
Because I've saved all the videos. Like I was working at a community center in the studio one time, and I came home and watched it and watched my video literally being played, and without me knowing, I was just like, "Yo, this is crazy." And I called Andrina. I'm just like, "Yo, this guy debuted the song on 106 in Park." But then he goes on Breakfast Club. They ask him about Drake. He has some not so favorable things to say about Drake.
I know.
Drake had never dissed him or went against him because I think at that time it's early in Drake's career. If it was
I think Drake
now,
wouldn't have dissed him.
He probably shoot back.
Do you know why I think he would not diss them?
He's this whole.
No, listen. I agree with you. Where?
You know what I mean? Like X is a different nigga. Like
Where?
X,
Where?
X
Where is he
be scared of
dishove?
X.
Where is he dishove?
Remember him and Hope had a back and forth. Remember
They have
Hope?
a couple
He says like,
lines here and there. I know they have a couple lines.
but still, but I mean they were going at it, and then
By the
they
way,
cleared it
I
up.
think he dropped the line for X. I remember at the time when they redid when he redid It's Yours. I remember the guy, like, I think it was Rake One was cool with it. You God wasn't cool with it. I think
Yeah,
Drake was doing things that were just unseen by older gods. Listen, I came out in
yeah,
'97 with Mind Blowing, came out in 2000. When people hear me do
yeah.
Talk to Me Nice, they look at me like, oh, like you changed a little bit. And I'm like, I never did. Like I did, sometimes you do hard records, sometimes you do vibe records. But the underground is
Yeah.
the backpackers are very backpacky. If there's anything at any point in time that sounds
That's
a
what I'm saying.
little
Those
bit
hip
too
hop
clubby,
enthusiasts, man.
they look at you
Yeah,
different. But as an
they try to
artist,
box you in
you got to do what the hell you want to do, bro. The minute you wait,
for
like, you
sure.
can't. You can't just do what they want. When I see guys that are underground legends, like the guys out of my city who are doing a lot of waves underground, like I think it's what they like to do. I don't want to believe that you out there thinking, oh, that's a lane that is messing with me. Let me just stick to that. To
Yeah.
each his own. Okay, let me ask you something.
But I just want to
Yes,
finish
let's go
that.
back to X. Please,
So
please.
so
Shit.
so 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 X has not favorable things to say about him. Drake ends up sampling him on, I think, on Views. There's a record that he samples from X. So he obviously had to get in contact with X, pay X. X then goes back to Breakfast Club and kind of changes his tune and says like, "Yo," they're like, "Yo, how do you feel about Drake now?" He's just like, "Yo,
That's
bro,
what
like,
happened.
you know, yeah." So
He
he's like,
did
"Yo, I
change
kind of
his
feel."
tune.
Yeah. So he was like, I feel bad because like, I was hating on the guy and he's Lil Shorty's a fan. Like so I respect him. Like he came to me like a man and he used the track that I did and I told him like, yo, lo and behold, I used one of your tracks back in the days,
That's
last
beautiful.
hope.
That's
Right.
beautiful.
So he mentions that as a mending of their
Relationship.
dispute, right? And the
Yeah.
mending of your relationship. So, what I mean? It's cool to kind of just be in the middle of that. No homo, no Diddy.
That's
But like
insane.
just to be in
Yo,
to
I'm
be
kind of mad that No Diddy took over. This was Cam and Mace's
no,
moment.
no
Pause.
Diddy is taking off, man.
No Diddy
It's
is it's just done. No Diddy. I knew when No Diddy
it's
was
just
lit.
it rolls off the tongue, no Diddy.
There's this dude called I forget. He's a basketball player, Burns, who plays for like South Carolina or something. He's literally in a Final Four of NCAA. He's like, yeah, right. So there's only a 7-inch difference between us. No Diddy. He said it so fast on TV. I'm like, it's over. It's over. It's over. Okay. Listen,
Yeah,
shout out to DMX. I think that's one of the more legendary things
yeah.
ever.
Shout out to X,
I
man.
think
R.P. Legendary.
I see that man do prayers on stage. He truly is the second coming of Tupac. In terms of him having
He
two
starts
different
every album
lanes
with
of
a prayer.
emotion, right? Right? Like his he
Amazing.
goes to y'all gonna make me lose my mind. He didn't want to do that song, by the way. Not saying that he shouldn't, but I remember they had to force
Yeah,
him
I've
to
seen
get in
that.
the
I've seen
studio to
that.
do that, right? They forced him. So he was just a real passionate dude, and it's sad to see his life how it ended briefly, abruptly, but
Yeah.
he was so emotional, and I feel like we saw a lot of those emotions through his music. Okay, Shad, Socks just sent me, tagged me in a video that just came out. I think it's That's All, which is so dope. Like animation, he just came out with That's All. But you had a song with
Yeah.
him called Listen, Shad. And I
Yeah.
think he's a dope lyricist, different type of energy in terms of
One
rap.
of the greatest out of our country.
Right? Let's
Yeah.
talk about
No.
working with Shad, because I agree, man. He's one of
So
the greats.
so technically, if I want to say like as a producer, my first Juno was Shad's album. So he dropped the album called TSOL,
Okay.
and I did two tracks on there. I did Listen,
Shout out.
and then the bonus track is called It's Time,
Okay.
or It's About Time. Sorry, and that
Dope.
features Promise, and yeah, Shad, like me and Shad were signed to Black Box, the same label, right?
That was the
So
link.
he had hit
That's
me.
the label out of Toronto?
Yeah, so yeah, well, out of Mississauga actually.
Okay.
So yeah, so out of GTA, yeah. And I had already respected Shad. I'd seen his video. I seen the song he had called Brother, and that song was like the way he broke down black culture in that, like just black, like a black man, and how the images of what we see in hip hop can change who that person is, and force them to be this stereotype and shit like that. Like the way it was
it's so
almost like an
true.
essay
It's so
in
true.
musical form, and Amir's beat on that was amazing. So I always wanted to work with him. So when he had hit me up and said, "Yo, you wanted to work," I was just like, "Yeah, for sure."
That's
Sent him
dope.
like maybe 20 beats,
That's
and
dope.
he picked Listen, and I was happy he picked that because I had no samples in it. So you know, all the publishing goes to me.
Let's
Um,
go.
but like, yeah, and yeah, bro, like he put the track together, brought me to the studio to listen to it. I was like, yo, this is dope. And then he was just like, yo, I want one more track for my bonus joint, and I sent him the beat for It's About Time, and I think he actually asked me to jump on it,
That's
but my
wild.
verse was a little too risque.
Oh, really?
It was a little too raunchy, so I think he took me off it and put Promise on it. But love to him. That's my guy
Listen,
though.
it's never anything personal, man. It's music, it's art. People have their
Yeah,
own vision of what they want to put out there. But yeah, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it's not on
bro.
skills because I'll tell you straight up, bro. You remind me of
Yeah,
Ye, and we'll go back to that in a sense where when I listened to your album and I played it on shuffle. I didn't want to, but it went on shuffle, and
yeah,
just the beats are so dope, and the lyrics, like you have an effortlessness about the way you drop your rhymes. It seems like it's a simple thing, but there's always wordplay. You know exactly what you're doing. It is very thought out. I'm a lyricist. I watch all that. So it's not like you're a
appreciate that.
producer who raps a little. It's not like you're a no diss to Dre, but you're not Dre with it. You're not Pete Rock with it. You're way more Kanye with it. You're way more like Havoc with it. You're way more like a dude who raps at the level that he produces. And I'm thinking, and and you could
It's love.
tell me or not tell me, but I think you produce more and you drop not that many out because you could eat. Like as a rapper, I can tell you straight up, if there's anything that I could go back to doing early in my career, I would have learned how to produce because you don't have to wait on anybody. But number two, people pay for beats. Nobody pays for rhymes. You could be Drake before you're Drake, or you could be Tory Lanez before Tory Lanez, or Tona. Like nobody will pay Tona to ghostwrite until Tona is Jay-Z.
At a certain level, yeah. But you
You know
know
what I'm
what? What
saying?
it is there's a lot more investment in going into being an artist than there is a producer, right? For as a producer, like you got to invest in the equipment,
Yeah.
and then maybe invest in like travel. You know what I mean? Like, but everything is just time, right? Like for an artist, it's
You
like
don't have the clothes that
to
you need in
be
every
what
single video. You can't wear the same
bro.
shirt
It's
again.
it's
The
yeah.
cars for the
You or else
videos.
you're a bum. You could be a conscious rapper and they could still look at you as a bum,
Absolutely, by the way. Absolutely. Speaking
right?
of
So
conscious rappers,
it's just a lot more money that goes into it. But to me, like I'm being completely honest. I just felt like I didn't have shit to talk about, bro. Like
I
I don't
respect
want to
it.
repeat myself. I want to give a new perspective every time I come out the gate. So even the stuff that I talked about on the Sun Real project, like I didn't really talk about that really in my opinion. And what I talk about it in my opinion, I don't really talk about in Naturally Born Strangers.
I
But
definitely see.
life was moving so fast at the
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
So I had all these things that I had to say. And then once I said them, I was just like, what else do I really got to say? Let me go live more life.
You're right about living life. I truly believe it. Um, you're so right. Like I dropped an album called Shoot or Shoot about determination and making it happen, dropping videos, guerrilla style,
Mhm.
finding a way to get to the promised land. And then my next album was, man, I've been smashing a little bit. I've been out with some chickens. I got some stories. And then I dropped El Guapo, which was like, a shorter album on just some more play. Because my life changed between these two records. There's something enjoyable about doing something so life specific versus just digging in and being like, I'm a hard dude. I'm going to talk about everybody that I clapped on the block, every ounce that I sold on the block. Like, I like when the story changes. I don't disagree with you. And I believe you. You've said this to me a few times. I thought in my soul that the bag was nice in production, so maybe that's where it
Yeah.
went. But clearly,
But
honestly, man, you
but
follow
you
the
know what? I
inspiration.
could get a bag rapping too. I could get a bag rapping too. Like
Shout
it's
out. I
just
saw the
you know,
show,
yeah, yeah.
but it's a little
Like
bit. It's a little bit
I made it.
harder.
I
No,
made a good amount. Hmm?
talk to him. Talk to him. Talk to him. I just feel as though It's just a little bit easier to get a bag, an early bag. The
For
major
sure.
bag is superstardom. The major bag
You're
is
not wrong.
superstardom.
Yeah, you're
But the
not wrong.
early bag
You're
is
not wrong.
production. You could still move a little something. Maybe not today. Nowadays, guys are doing low rentals or whatever. Okay, I want to talk
YouTube
about
beats.
YouTube beats, right? Let's talk about
Yeah,
Talib. Talib. Talk about
yeah,
conscious legends. You work with Talib
yeah.
Kweli. This guy is as legendary as it gets.
Yes,
Black
sir.
Star. Let's talk about that. How did that go? How did it come about?
Talib, I met when I did Manifesto. So
I say.
Manifesto is the annual festival that's thrown in Toronto,
Nice.
by an organization called Manifesto,
Okay.
and I think it was the third year Manifesto. They had me headline the after party at a venue called Revival. So
Dope.
it was me, and it was Rich Kid and Friends. So I brought my guy
Mm-hmm.
King Rain on there. Socrates came out. Tona came out. It was a whole bunch of us, and then also it was High Tech, Talib, and Ninth Wonder. So after my performance, Talib
Legendary.
comes up to me. He's just like, "Yo, that's one of the best hip hop shows I've witnessed. Like outside of America,
Bro,
like,
how did you
yo,
feel as a
you got it."
rap fan?
Oh, I was fucking, like, that was at that point, that was probably one of the best moments of my life,
You know what I'm saying? Just on
right?
some
Like
artists.
for
Like I love the honesty of the moment. Like that's still a super legend who takes a moment to not just say, yo, let's work, just like that was one of the best shows I've ever seen, period. God bless you, man. That's like a
yeah,
moment that every artist
yeah.
wants to live. That's
So he was
wild. That's
just like,
wild.
"Yo, like all those beats that you were on, like, who produced that shit?" I'm like, "I did those." He's like, "Yeah." So we switched contacts. Even Ninth Wonder, when he's like, "Yo, your bass lines," I'm just like, "Bro, like
Let's go.
because listen, I produce on FL Studio, right? Like, I feel like me, Boy Wonder, T minus, we were the ones to kind of popularize that that program with making beats in the city.
You came up with Boy
So
Wonder. I didn't even know that. So you came up with Boy Wonder?
yeah,
That's wild.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Like, we these are guys that I knew from earlier on, back in the day. We were all producing and shared sounds and stuff like that. Like,
that's
I
dope.
I rock with Matthew and Tyler, bro. Those are the bros. But
I know it's different when they drop the
yeah,
government. I'm
like,
talking about Boy Wonder. You talking about Matthew and Tyler. It's different. It's different. Listen,
nah,
like
but they're good
it's
dudes, and
beautiful.
we all talk about just how we were the first ones when there were times where you almost had to pretend that you made beats on the MPC and the ASR 10. Like,
For
they didn't
real.
want beats from the computer. They thought, oh yeah, it's gonna sound lame, and like they're not
Wow.
at a quality standard, and we changed that,
There
right?
is
So
there
that's
is
why Socks is so.
snobism. There's snobism in this
Yeah,
industry, of course.
there was. But Socks embraced me and Boy Wonder. Like, there's a lot of early Boy Wonder and Sock songs that were incredible. And he's like, "Yo, the way you guys know how to freak that computer shit,
That's
you guys
dope.
are like," that's why he kind of took us under his wing, right? Um,
I love
but
the
yeah, like, yeah,
camaraderie.
so right, so like, yeah, so with Ninth Wonder, like, him acknowledging me that night too was great. But Talib, he had hit me up after. He was like, "Yo, send me some beats." I sent him the beat for What's Real.
Okay.
On the hook is a sample of a rapper named Junior T,
Okay.
a producer named Big Pops. I think Crooklyn was on it too. It's a track that was Junior T's back in the day,
Yeah.
and I chopped the hook and I sang over it too. So I'm singing on the track,
Let's get it. Let's
and I sent
go.
I sent right. I sent it to him. He loved it. We just started arranging it. He would send me it with his verses and ask me what I thought about it. I was just like, "Yeah, shit is dope. Like,
Talib
I
was
think you
hitting
should
you
change
up
this."
for like advice midway. You would have thought that Talib would be like,
Yeah,
I'm done. Take this, child.
which is crazy. Like, I did ask him to change something in the second verse, and he adjusted it. But like, I I feel like he he wanted to still keep it the way he wanted to keep it, and I didn't even like stress him on that, because I'm like, it's Talib, you know what I mean? Like, and you're
But he
paying me for
flipped
the
it.
beat. Do your thing. He changed it a little bit, but he didn't change it to what I told him he should change it. But he flipped it, so
Little something.
he
Little
probably
something.
seen what I seen. But It's all good. Like, you know what I mean? I know you don't want to give me the writing credit. It's okay.
As
It's okay. I understand. But
yeah,
you know, I'll keep my 50. You keep your 50. It's
as
cool.
well.
But like, yeah, no, we put that together, and I did a lot of like, you know, additional production on there. I got some guitar on there, and yeah, man. And then we made the track. He got
You
I think
got
her
some
name is
guitar on
RES
there.
Rez.
Here's a
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
Yes, Rez, R-E-S. Here's a question.
yeah.
When you add guitar, is it a little bit like um, you rather get a virtuoso doing something great than play it yourself, or to get a sample?
No,
Like, what do you get?
I get players. I get players because one, I want the authentic feel. So there's no way you can emulate guitar with a program. Like with keys, with piano, yeah, because they found a way to get that same feel of a piano on a
Gotcha.
VST. But
But not the
guitar,
guitar.
there's so many nuances to it. The slides,
Okay.
there's no way to really like emulate it in the right way. So I had to get a dude. His name is Jesse Aaron.
Shout out to
Um,
Jesse Aaron.
he's played on a lot of on a lot of my stuff. He's worked with a lot of like you know mutual friends like
You
Jesse
got to keep
Reyes
those
and
relationships,
Sunreal.
man.
So
That's
yeah,
dope.
yeah,
That's dope. All right. I love how you
yeah.
mix
And
boom
and the
bap
thing
with.
is, a lot of people like if you look at the comments underneath, like because he shot a video for it, he put it out. If you look
Dope.
at the comments, a lot of people were
A
kind
lot of
of
people
downing
shoot
him. Like a lot of
videos.
people,
Really?
huh? Yeah,
So
yeah,
he
yeah.
shot a
A
video.
lot of people
He
were
shot
downing
a.
him.
Why?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so he shot a. This is nuts how a lot of these major artists are shooting videos for your songs. Like, that's a testament to the, I don't know, viability of what they see in your sound versus just them liking it. They see viability in there. So What's Real had a
Yeah,
video for it, and you're telling me
yeah.
that the response was lukewarm.
It was lukewarm, I think, for a lot of his traditional fans because they felt somebody said, "Oh, I don't like this new trap sound you're on." I'm like, "Trap, bro? Like
Oh.
just because you hear fast hi hats and a certain BPM doesn't make it trap. Trap music is trap music. Like is one. It's done in minor key. It's sounds menacing. It's niggas
It
talking about
usually
drugs
sounds menacing, and
and
it's you talk about trapping.
right. Like it's a vibey track, but I think a lot of like at that time hip hop was in a weird place where it's just like if you hear fast hi hats, it means you sold your soul. It's just like
Yeah.
nah, bro. Like if anything, it's boom trap.
I think
You could call it
today,
that. You could call it boom trap.
listen, let's talk about
You know,
different
it
stuff.
uses
Boom
elements
trap,
of boom bap because even the drums on it, they're
I don't
hard drums
disagree.
that trap guys wouldn't use, right? But
I
those
agree.
hi hats, you know what I mean? I think in a certain way, the hi hats gave off a vibe like, oh, and even the double time flow, it was kind of like because it's Midwest
Let
and the
him
South
live.
are known for doing that fast flow. So they're like, oh, what do you think you are, Twister? Now it's just like, come on, bro,
I think
can't
that's the
niggas switch
lamest
up?
thing. I think niggas should be able to
Yeah,
switch up. I think sadly the underground is unforgiving and unbending when it comes to like the sound. Cause the
yeah,
same way you said boom trap, I started thinking about smooth bap with some of the music I do. Cause I'm like, it ain't the traditional. The production might be boom bap, but the content is way more. You know what I'm saying? A little more play, a little bit more
yeah,
suave, a little bit more real life, not like the whole shadow
yeah,
boxing, more this than more that. So in my head, it was smooth bap. So I get your point. Like, it's not like music is personal. It doesn't have to be the entire perfect capsule that we're so used to, my opinion.
for sure.
Okay, quick question. Produced for Talib, DMX. I mean, we've named all these artists at this point. What age did you start writing? And at what age did you start producing? What did you do
Um,
first?
I
I
would say I
presume
started
writing?
writing. I started writing like when I was like maybe 13, 12,
13.
13.
Okay.
I have like, when I my mom moved back to Ghana,
Yeah.
she left me a whole bunch of boxes of stuff that I had like CDs and everything.
Yeah.
And with it was like a whole bunch of rhymes that I wrote back in the day, like in grade 7, grade 8. So it's like I'm
Really?
looking through those rhymes. I was like, man, I was so corny. The punchlines were so corny, talking
I
about
mean,
shit
it's
I never
early.
did yet. I
Yo, dude. I
I never got coochie, but I'm rapping about like getting coochie and slapping it up. Like It's like, God damn, bro. I'm a nerd, bro.
I
I'm a
think
nerd. But
everybody
like,
starts off that way. Everyone starts off that way. I
for
have
sure,
rhymes that make
for
me
sure,
cringe. I
for
spoke
sure,
about it with every single artist.
for sure, because it's like you want to be what you see on TV, and
That's
I didn't
it.
mean that to rhyme. I'm just nice like that. But yeah, like it's just that's what I kind of that's kind of like what I was doing, and the beat started maybe in grade 10 when my
Okay.
homeboy Gudini he came to me with a CD with FL Studio on it. I put it in my computer and never took it out. I just downloaded the program and just got to making beats, and I felt like I was the first one in the neighborhood to like make beats on that program. And then I just started bringing my beats out to the block, and then we'd all freestyle to it. And
That's
they're like, yo,
dope.
Rich, can you sample? I learned how to sample. I would sample, like people would give me samples and I chop them up, and I grew a love for it after that.
People were coming to you with samples and saying, "Yo, bro, like hook me up with a beat with this sample kind of thing."
Yeah, the guys that weren't even rappers, they just wanted to hear it on a beat.
That's kind of dope.
So they give me like Isley Brothers, Summer Breeze, or give me Ann Peebles, or you give me like even like one of my homies gave me Journey, Don't Stop Believing. He was just like, yo, can you chop this up? I chopped that
Wow.
up. You know.
Epic, epic. Okay, so you went from producing samples that the homies on the block came up and gave you,
Mm.
essentially block star, to then a real star. Because what I'm seeing here is that
Thank
you,
you.
dude, you were the creative director. I don't know if that's the exact name for it, for Maestro's Hall of Fame performance. You were the creative director. I mean, I know that you also worked with coordinator and remix
Music director.
music director. My bad. So music director
Yeah,
for Maestro's Hall of Fame performance. You're the
yeah,
coordinator of the recording arts program of the remix projects. Let's talk about this
yep,
more. Um, let's talk about your new position in the industry, because clearly you're doing more than just bumping on the block right now.
yeah. With the Maestro thing, that actually started from last year. When I did musical direction for the 50th anniversary of hip hop, did the
Boom.
tribute. So Mishi Me, Dream Warriors, Shockler, and Toby. And I
That's
gotta give
beautiful.
a big shout out to Mel Boogie. Mel Boogie hit me. She was on the board of hip hop for the Junos,
Mm-hmm.
and she asked me would I want to take it on. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like I'm always down for doing things that are in the realm of music that can like I can one add to my resume of something different that I've done, and
For
then two
sure.
just expand my knowledge on stuff. Like I put together my own shows, but I've never got the music prepared, arrange the music in a certain way and then help with performances. Like I've never really done that for different artists. So I
That's dope.
wanted to, take that on as a challenge, Like I feel like if I don't challenge myself, I'm not growing. Right. So I did that and it went well, it was dope. Like even just
Were they
corresponding with all the
receptive?
artists.
I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
Were
Yeah. Like,
Dream Warriors, Mishimi, Maestro, were they all just,
yeah.
we'll give you carte blanche, let us know what's up? Like,
Well,
was
like,
it a collaborative effort?
yeah, for sure. Like I think most of them already knew me. I feel like the guys I was least familiar with, in terms of like a relationship
Yeah.
was Dream Warriors, right? So with D and
There's a big
King
gap.
Lou,
There's a big gap.
there's a gap, but it's like like I'm real cool with Maestro too, right? So
True,
he's of
true.
that era. So it's just we just never we had followed each other. They always bigged me up. I bigged them up.
Maestro's
We met one
outside.
time.
My
Yeah,
opinion,
we met at
Maestro's
Much
outside.
Music when Much Music had a Rap City
I remember
hosted
that.
by T Rex when they
Yep.
brought it back. That's
Yep.
where I met King Lou and met D, and you know we just we hit it off, but we never really stayed connected. So
I get it.
having King Lou kind of like hit me on the ones because I'd be like at the gym and then he'd hit me about how to like structure
Yo, that's
the songs
beautiful.
and everything like that. It was good, and we just had like long conversations of just about the industry back then. And when it was time for Showtime in Edmonton, we like he gave me a Dream Warriors comic and stuff like
That's
that.
dope.
Broke down like the history of just how
I
Dream
love it.
Warriors came up, how they added a new member who I actually met this Junos Forget Spec. Spec is the
That's
additional member, the
dope.
Dream
Shout out to
Warriors,
Spec.
and he told. So it's interesting. He told me about that because I never knew about that extra member. Told
Yeah.
me about that last Junos, and this year Junos, I randomly met Spec at like a SoCan party or a SoCan
Yeah.
gathering, and I was just like, I'm like, you're the one he was talking about, and then
That's
we hit it
crazy.
off there too. So, but everybody else, Havaya, Cardi, Maestro,
Yeah.
Toby, like all of
Yeah.
these guys, I've had a relationship with. So yeah, they trusted me. They were like, yo, it's dope to see you in this position because we know you as a rapper, we know you as a producer, but you
Dude, you
kind of
don't
getting into
stop.
and being behind
I
the scenes,
You
like
don't
it
stop.
was good and they respected it. Yeah, and they appreciated it. And I appreciated them for giving me the reins on it. And then especially Orrin Isaacs, who is the main musical director for Insight and the Junos,
Okay.
for him working with me and being patient with me and teaching me a 1-2. Like he's an OG,
Shout out.
in terms of production and engineering,
Shout out to
so
the
he kind of
OGs
like took
passing
me under
down the
his wing.
torch and setting you up.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So they showed me a lot of love. So that's what prepared me for this one. Like if it wasn't for Maestro and me and his relationship, I probably wouldn't have done it, right? So he's the one that asked for me. It wasn't the Junos that asked for me. It wasn't Insight. It was Maestro that said, "Yo, I want
It's
you to
his
do it,"
respect.
and
He knows what's going on
we
with
did
you,
it up.
man. Like, listen, Maestro, I'll say this. Maestro is still doing very big things, and a lot of it is his talent. A lot of it is his history. A lot of it is because he's outside. Like Maestro, you know what I'm saying,
He's so
connects with the
outside
younger generation. Like he's not one of those dudes who rests on his laurels or who stays on his
at all.
pedestal. Like he comes down and chops it up, and he's outside. And when I look at how he moves, I think we should all take notes. It's again. He
It
said
was
it to me in an interview.
a beautiful moment at the Junos is seeing him connect with Pressa. Because
Right,
those are two
right.
vastly different generations,
Yes. Impression
right?
knew.
And
Preston knew
him,
about him.
yeah, but he'll go up to you and tell you he's a fan of you, and that
Yes.
shit is just, it's amazing to me, like that he's genuine. He's not lying. He
Yeah.
wouldn't do it.
No.
He's really like a fan of the new school and respects, even if he doesn't fully understand it. Like he respects what guys are doing,
100%.
and he'll come up to you and give you your props,
I
and
love
you'll
that.
you'll you'll try to give him his props back. He's like, no, 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 it's
Hundred
you,
percent.
and that's what I love about the man. Like, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of OG I want to be when I'm his age.
Straight
When I
up.
I
Straight up.
already look older than him. The
Nah.
guy's 20 years older. I
he don't age, bro.
25 years older. I look older than him. I'm like, how
He
the hell?
don't age. He don't age. But I agree. You
Nah,
got to
bro.
keep that humble.
Different.
You got to keep that humble, and also, you can never just stay on accolades because everyone likes music. Everyone
Yep,
likes culture. So there's not anyone that you like what they're doing, and because they're just lower down in the creative totem pole, that you like. Nah, I'm him. Nah, bro. One, you'll make that person's day. Two, that's just an actual opinion. You think they're dope, right? So, I respect that.
for sure.
But do you, as a musical person, and as a person who's now entering different realms of musical direction, um, remix project, you're dealing with people, or
Yeah,
you were dealing with people that are younger coming up. It's a little bit of that. You got to
yeah,
understand and get introduced to new sounds and new creative waves.
yeah. Like that's the thing. Remix. We our age range is from 16 to 24, right?
Okay.
So when I started Remix, that would be about 7 years ago, I guess.
Hmm.
7 years ago. Like the age, like the oldest person in Remix or the oldest participant was more closer to my age. I was like 28. So
Gotcha.
like the oldest would have been 24, and we
Yeah.
wouldn't be that far in. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
yeah, I'm like kind
True.
of like your older brother, right? So it's like
Absolutely.
we had a lot of the same musical influences. Some of the youngins, like they love Jay, like they love the same
Okay.
kind of rappers
So it
that I
wasn't
like.
that massive of a
Um,
gap.
it wasn't a massive gap. Yeah. So with the youth now, it's like yeah, they're further in age for me. Um, but strangely enough, we can still have conversations about like I keep myself tuned in to the newer artists that are coming out. Like I love what new artists are creating nowadays. It keeps me inspired. But
Who do you like?
what the kids in, huh?
I don't want to ask you only about Toronto because I don't want to create any good or bad energy possibly.
Mm.
Who are the new artists in or out of Toronto that you really check for right now? If there's any that you kind of like,
That I
okay, that's
check
dope. Or that you liked
that
recently
I
that you heard.
that I check for. Like I like this kid Cash Cobain. He has a song called For Sure. I
Okay.
like that song.
Out of
I like
Toronto?
no, I think he's out of New York.
Okay, Cash
He's in New
Cobain. Shout
York.
out to Cash Cobain.
I like JID Jid from
Yes.
Atlanta. He's part of Dreamville.
100%.
Um, who else I mess with? There's a couple other people. A couple of other people I mess with.
Okay. So I
Um,
can see the palette right off what you just said right now.
I mess with like I listen to a lot of Don Toliver.
Okay.
He's kind of like more on he's R. He can be R&B and rap at the same time too. So I
100%.
like Don Toliver.
That's your vibe.
You know, like I listen to a lot of stuff. And out of the city, you know, I mess with Havaya. I mess with Toby. You know,
There we
I
go.
mess
Yeah.
with
I just got a link sent
this
to me by
kid called
Toby.
yeah. I mess with this kid named The Crook.
Okay.
He's dope. I mess with and then you know just
There's a
pretty
kid
much
called
lot of
New
my
Villain.
remix-
Out of young people, there's a kid called
Mm,
New Villain that I mess with out of
New
Toronto.
Villain.
Yeah, out of
Okay,
Toronto.
bet.
He
I'm gonna
wears a
check him out.
mask,
I'm gonna
hides
check
his
him out.
face, underground kid. I'll send you a link. A producer that I
Okay, bet.
interviewed messed with him in Toronto, pause. And I was
Mm,
impressed. I was impressed. Okay, real
yeah.
quick. You got a plaque for 40,000. Well, Canadian gold or platinum record. I forget the exact denomination. For the record,
Yeah, gold.
I wish I knew Natalie Portman,
Yeah.
Chaos, Nelly, Socrates. Is this your biggest record?
I would say so, yeah, in terms of sales.
In terms of
Um
sales, but in terms of energy, I know for me, man, it felt super special. Watching from a bird's eye view of just a fan of good music.
I feel like the last hope went platinum in the hood. You dig what I'm
Right?
saying? It went platinum on the internets.
Let's
You,
get
you
it, bro.
dig
It's
what I'm saying?
X. It's X.
Um and it was just like I wish, you know, like it's still not a like an official joint that's out there on streaming. I wish Drake would make it that, you know,
Yeah.
so niggas would get some bread. But hey, it's okay. But
He's like, yo,
in terms
can a
of
brother eat?
right, but
You
in
know?
terms of the Chaos joint, you know, that's I would say that's my biggest joint, my most recognizable joint, especially when it comes to like Canadian music.
Absolutely.
I would say it's, you know, like Chaos has released a lot of great music. I would say it's his last biggest hit. I would say
Yes. Yes, it
it,
is.
it was on the Canadian charts. You know what I mean? Socks. It was originally Socks' song,
It's
right?
a
Like you
beautiful
know,
song.
you already heard the
Absolutely.
story. Socks
I
told
heard the
you
story. Yep.
he, you know,
The
he
label that
cooked it
want to
up.
mess
He
with
cooked
it.
it up.
Yeah.
Yep, he cooked it up. So I remember he brought me over to 40's place. 40's crib was in Parkdale,
That's wild.
and we were listening to it. That was when 40 was telling me like, "Yo, you're amazing with beats, bro." Like, da da da. And I remember he was just
I
like, "Yo,
love hearing
I
these
gotta
things.
introduce you. I gotta introduce you to Drake." He was just like,
40
I had
tells you
met Drake
this.
before, but yeah. So you
Did
know,
y'all know?
then so
Did y'all know? I
say
got to
what?
rewind you. My apologies to cut you off. Did you know
All good.
when you heard Aubrey's music at first that this was going to be something that would be celebrated at that level? This is not about if they're good or bad. It's not about him being great, him being good, him being. Did you know
I
it
knew he
reached
could make it. I didn't think he would become one of the like most defining artists of
of
the
all
last.
time?
Yeah, pretty much. Like
Of all time.
there's nobody that's really done it bigger than him. He's probably the biggest rapper in history at this point, and his
I
run's
would
not
argue
done.
that
So
Eminem. I would argue that Eminem
no,
is there
Eminem
in that
technically,
conversation. But I'm talking about the
Eminem
uber pop
technically,
where your grandmother and your mother and your grandfather and your son all know about him. Eminem
yeah.
was maybe equal or more. Not sure.
No. Eminem is like Eminem at his height is the biggest rap artist there
With
is.
only
And then there's
rap.
Pac.
Drake is dope, but
And there's
Drake
Pac.
sang. Pac.
Yeah, Pac is
Of course.
posthumous,
Yeah.
posthumous or whatever.
Yeah.
But Drake is the biggest artist, biggest living relevant
Yeah.
artist. I don't think anybody's been relevant for
This
his stretch of
long.
time. So
I
I
agree.
never thought that was possible. I
I
never thought that
agree.
was possible,
He's a new
especially for
LL.
a Canadian artist, though.
Yeah, he's a new LL
Yeah,
with even more, even
for
stronger.
sure,
Honestly, straight up.
for
Okay.
sure.
Are you more
But
rapper or
but but
producer?
but but the closeout on Natalie Portman,
Let's go back. Let's go
um,
back. Pardon me.
like like the thing about that song is like it still plays on the radio today. Like I
Beautiful.
still hear it on the radio today. Every time I hear it, I'm like, ching ching royalties. And it's like I have the plaque in
And
remix
make it
and it's
rain.
sitting there and then some of the youths that come in, like they're like, what song is this? And then they'll like go on their Apple Music or their Spotify and play this like, oh, I remember singing this, when I was a kid, like you did that? I was just like, yeah, like
Wow.
it's a solo flex, but it's also to let them know like
It's
sometimes it takes time.
possible.
Like that came 13 years later, right?
Wow.
Like sometimes it takes time, right? Like for you to get
13
your
years
recognition for
later.
something.
That's
13 years
crazy.
later. Because that song came out in '09, right? And
So
I
it
got the plaque
became, it got,
2022.
it hit those numbers that many years later, or they're just slow in terms of the bureaucracy to send you the plaque.
I really believe streaming got it to where it was, right? Like
Got it.
it sold some
Okay.
records, but streaming helped push it over the edge. I think it's one of Chaos's most streamed tracks ever.
Do you like this streaming era, or do you like when you first came out in '07 or 2010 as an
Um,
artist, as a creative?
I can't lie. I don't think the streaming era is necessarily that beneficial for artists in terms of the money they get for it.
It's
Um,
easily
you know,
accessible for an average person to hear your music, but you're not getting paid off it. Um,
yeah.
right, right.
So,
Let me ask
so
you something.
yeah, I'd actually prefer the hustling way of putting shit out. But the other side of it was when I was putting out music, a lot of my music was free, right? It was free download era. It was the DAP
You were
GIF era,
giving it out.
live
Yeah,
mixtapes era. You know
right.
what I mean? So, and then once eventually I got to the label and then, I dropped with Sunreal or I dropped my solo,
Yeah.
that's when I started actually making music money, right? Not necessarily album sales because that was, that usually went to the album, but at least going on tour and making that tour money, making publishing money and shit like that. I've really seen some dollars from that.
So when did you as an artist feel as though music is my financial hustle? I'm making enough money. Was there a moment where it was like, yeah, this is where it's at, and I'm comfortable that this is the future of my life? Like, was it
Um,
specific
to be
records?
honest,
Was it
I've never felt secure in just doing music, right? Like, but everything I do has music involved, right?
gotcha?
So even while I was touring with Sunreal, even while I was doing all that stuff, I always worked in the community and had like a community job where I was like either teaching music, recording, and I could have said like, yeah, I'm just gonna survive off music. I just didn't feel like that's what I really wanted to do. I always wanted to still be rooted in the community. Plus, I can honestly say I don't think I would make it if I was just solely doing music and nothing else because I go in waves. Like I'm not always feeling the most creative. And if I don't have the output, it's harder to sustain that level of lifestyle, right?
So,
I
are
feel
you
like
not
all
always
my jobs
creative?
that I had,
Are you not
yeah,
always creative because you stopped smoking weed? I saw you say before you used to wake and bake and produce. Is it different trying to wake and produce without the bake?
no, not really. Not really. What it is I tricked myself into thinking that I needed it to be a better version of me
I don't
when
disagree, bro.
everything was already internal.
When I'm way too lit, I
You
fall
know?
asleep. I barely write at night. Like if I'm at night and I lit something,
Mhm.
90% of the time I fell asleep. I usually write in the daytime where I'm more alert. Honest enough. So I keep thinking that it's the
Mhm.
weed. But when I saw you stop in my head, I was like, what's the real need here? There's a little addiction going on. It's not hard to drug, but I
Yeah.
kind
No,
of,
for,
I'm
for
always,
me, it was I was addicted to just smoking. I wasn't even addicted to necessarily the weed, the THC. right? Because sometimes I'd be smoking bogeys here and there, like, and that I never really smoked bogeys most of my life. I started that late in my life,
Yeah.
and then I was smoking Black Milds or like Captain Blacks and stuff like that. I was addicted to like taking things in my lungs because us as Black people, to be honest, we're so addicted to pain. It's more about pain. Like we
Damn.
like feeling like the thump of the blunt in our chest. If we like the hard liquor, we like, even if it's cigarettes, we like the menthol because it's
Yeah.
just like we're just,
You want to
and we
feel it.
bond over this trauma.
Yeah.
We're like, yo, you ain't hard unless you taking
That's so
that henny
true.
straight to the chest. You know what I mean? Like we love that shit. So I was addicted to harming myself, really, and I had to get out of my mindset. I'm like, yo, I'm tricking myself into thinking this is making me this creative wonder kind when it's really, this was all existed in me before I was even on
I don't
drugs.
disagree.
You dig
I
what I'm
don't
saying?
disagree at all. I don't disagree at all. And you clearly know
Yeah,
the creative path that you want to be on because you
for sure.
rap, produce, musical, direct, and then now you're also DJing. So
Yes,
I'm
sir.
watching that you DJing for the past year. You're
I
clearly
also
just through
act
your
too.
Instagram. You're full of life. Yo, bro, let's go. I'm not surprised. You're a personality. Your Instagram. You post, and your posts are full of who you are, and you're clearly not afraid of being yourself at on these stages where you know that these kind of posts where you get 300 likes probably have 1,000 people looking at them, and you're just there like get your little dance on vibe, like you just are comfortable in your skin, and you're comfortable
Yep,
with showing the world who you are. That's part of your marketing. That's part of your marketing, right?
for sure. For sure. Be yourself, man. Why? I'm like that. I'm like that grandfather that's like he don't give a fuck about it. He's lived too much life where he
That's
just doesn't
fact.
give a fuck what you think
That's
about him.
fact.
Like I feel like I adopted that in my like mid 20s, and I just kind of stuck it through.
I think life and is about comfort in your own skin. I started this Instagram podcast or this podcast in general just because I'm the kind of guy who truly believes in my art, but I'm a fan of people's art. And I'm the kind of guy who's a
Yeah,
flower giver, like, yo, that guy's dope. That guy's dope. Like, I've already heard, why are you saying he's dope, bro? Like, I don't care. He's dope. Like, it doesn't change how I feel about
yeah,
myself. And there's people that I
for
notice who
sure.
do incredible things. And I've been interacting with people regularly in life when I realize what they do isn't regular. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of like, one, give them their flowers and show people, at least in my circle, yo, there's people that you don't know that are doing some really, really, really fly shit. And you're one of these people. So how
Yeah.
do you like DJ right now? Like, is that like your thing right now? Do you look to DJ most weekends?
DJing is fun, bro. I actually started last year at the Junos. It was Chaos's after party.
Let's
He had
get so
called
your
me.
first DJ party was Chaos's after party, and he said, "You're an energy
Yeah.
god. I want you to light it up."
He was just like, yo, you want
Let's
to
get
DJ
it.
my after party? I'm like, bro, I don't know how to DJ. He's just like, oh, it's simple. You just play music. I'm like, yes, I understand that, Kevin, but I don't like,
You're like, Kevin, I understand.
like I don't know the mechanics. He's just like, oh, just play some tunes. I'm like, all right, cool. All right, I'm down. I'm like, is there a bag? He's like, yeah, no, I'll toss you a little something. I'm like, all right, cool. And it was me and Odario from CBC
That's
who
dope.
were DJing that night. There were some other DJs there too, but I just came in with like I actually didn't even have my laptop. I had to use what's his name? Lord Quest. He let me borrow his laptop. So
This
I
guy had
downloaded
no
Serato.
laptop to DJ.
I didn't even have like I have my Mac, but I just didn't bring it, right? So I used his laptop. I downloaded Serato. I loaded it full of like Canadian tunes that I felt like I was like, okay, I'm
That's
going to
smart.
MC it and be on some, you all remember this tune type shit.
Absolutely.
And it went very well, you know what I mean? I played some Canadian classics, had people dancing and moving.
That's what's up.
And then, by the end of the night, like, I was playing some Chaos tunes and I forced them to perform, and we got the club hype. That was probably the littest party that night. Sony and Universal and Warner had their after party, but it was nothing like what we did.
So last
It
year
was
you
nothing
had a
like what we
party,
did.
your first party that was potentially the hottest party at the Juno weekend, and then now this weekend,
Yep.
I mean this Juno's musical direction again, but this time for Maestro, and not the
Yep.
50 top 50, and you still DJ'd every night. So a year
I
later, you were
DJ literally
DJing every night in
all 4
Halifax.
nights.
That's wild.
Yep. So I did a party with Putty, the mayor of North Preston.
Let's go.
I did the loft with Scratch Bastard.
Let's
I
get that
did
was Joe. Those videos went viral. The videos of the Scratch
yep.
Bastard Party went viral. That's
Oh
beautiful.
man, Scratch is, and that dude, especially him, he's always been in my corner. You know, I performed at a Scratch Bastard barbecue.
That's dope.
He's just always supportive. So even with the DJ set, I told him like, yo, bro, like, bro, I bow to you. You know, no Diddy, like you are the guy, like out not only out here but around the world. Like you're a world renowned DJ. So please let me know what tunes not to play. You know what I mean? Because I understand that about DJs. Like if you're the DJ opening up, you don't play certain tunes. You know? So even when I was like after I brought what's his name? I brought Rochester and everything Ocean on my set to perform as well too. And you know, then I started going into my old school bag, got the crowd hype, and I was gonna play Nothing by Nori, and he was just like, yo, don't play that. Yeah, I got something for that. I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? So I understand, like, you know, I understand there's those certain tunes, especially because I know he has a routine where he's gonna.
Of course, he got a routine for that.
Mix it, probably play the original sample, and you know, like he's a legend. So to even rock with him as a DJ, like I don't even call myself a DJ. I DJ, but I'm not a DJ. Like I'm not,
bro.
I don't want
getting to that. It's getting to that.
I can't compare to these guys. You know, Scratch Bastard, start from scratch. Even like my youngins that are in remix, I have them help me. Like I tell them, like, yo, bro, you guys are my mentors.
And
like
you're
I want to
get
learn
it.
from you
We're
guys.
learning every day, man. We're learning every day. You're a rapper, producer who's learning how to DJ. And you know what you're going to teach the world? How to rap, produce, and DJ. That's what's going to be your thing. Like I know you're learning DJing, but everybody starts off as a humble pupil at some point, and you're starting off, and you're not afraid to branch out and to switch it up. And that's a beautiful thing. Talk to us about your relationship with Cardinal. I know you guys did some videos, some songs. I know he's one of the champions of the culture.
Yep.
What's the story there? Where does the link begin, and where is it at today?
Yeah, Cardi. I was introduced to Cardi through Socks. Socks is kind of like my bridge to pretty much everybody from that circle crew. Whether Choclair, Cardi, who else? Like Thrust, all of those guys. Like Socks is kind of introduced me to. But we did a song back in the day called "World on My Shoulders." Okay. And that was on on some Rich Kid Shit mixtapes. It was a Sock song that he had wrote the hook for, but then got Cardi on it. Cardi spit some fire on that shit, and from there, like we just been good. He's just been the OG that's always, like, in terms of giving flowers, bro. Like he'll always just come into my comments or my DMs and just show random love and just be like,
I've noticed that. That's why I bring him up.
See your growth.
So we're clear. Yeah. That's why, like, before this interview, I obviously looked at a lot of your work, but I looked at the simple things like the last 30 Instagram posts, and he is liking and commenting, and he's in all your comments. You're absolutely right. And he wants to visually show love and show love.
He understands, like, when I crack on him, like, we crack on each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're my nigga if I can make fun of you.
That's real homie shit, 100%.
You know, and anytime he has a new hair color, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when he came out with the lime green, I'm like, yo, my nigga, you look like a tennis ball right now.
That's crazy.
One time he was in Thailand, and he had a picture on the beach where he had some short shorts. Like they looked like those, you know, like when niggas playing basketball in the 70s. Like he had those kind of shorts. So
you gotta check. You gotta check the homie.
My comment was Thailand, and then yo, this nigga
Thailand.
This nigga came my DMs. He's like, yo, I hate you, bro. And you know, like I love him for that. Like he can always take a joke and we crack on each other. And he's always like hitting me up when he has like new artists he's developing. He'll hit me up and be like, yo, you got beats for them? He's just always been humble, and he's a legend to me. I remember watching, first song I seen from him was Hustlin'.
Yep.
on fucking Much
That
Music,
wasn't my first one,
and
but it
he's
was my
always
first one that I was like, wow, okay.
mm,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
So it's like, bro, he's one of those. He's like, if there's the Canadian rap gods, he's on that Mount Rushmore. He's
100%.
he's everything, man. He's everything,
Absolutely.
bro. Him,
Absolutely.
Sox, Maestro. You know what I mean? Like those are the guys that you know what I mean. I tip my hat to because they've always shown me love, and they're never afraid to share the spotlight either.
I love that. I love that. So
Yeah.
you've clearly worked with some greats, and you're in, you're right there rubbing shoulders with greats. Who out of Canada or the U.S. do you want to work with? Does that even happen in your
I,
mind
I,
anymore? You're
I
like,
still I still want to work with Hove. Like I don't care if
Hove,
people feel he's past his prime. Like I feel like I just need to. Hove,
Hove,
Ye,
Yeezy,
Nas,
yup. We're from the same
like
era.
yeah, right? Like who do I want to work with from this era?
No. I'm listening to these guys, and then
Oh,
now from this era,
okay.
yes.
From this era, I don't look necessarily at Kendrick from this era because we have something that's locked in the vaults of TDE that probably won't ever come out. But I would love to like
You
actually
can't just drop
have
that.
something put out.
You can't just drop that.
I don't have it. I don't have that. Everything I have, like I have a lot of shit with J Rock that I actually have in my possession, but with the Kendrick shit, he's very. They don't send that out once they, you know, what I mean, they keep that.
That hurts
You
my
know,
soul. Okay.
they don't want those leaks. But like, yeah, I guess if I had to choose somebody like that's of this era now that's come out in the last few
Yeah.
years, I want to do something with Jid. I fuck with Jid.
Let's go. Let's build. Let's put that in the atmosphere. Jed, holla at my boy, Rich Kid from Toronto. He got the Midas touch. Who
Yes, sir.
was your favorite? Okay, so you named the artists that you want to work with. Are those the favorite artists you had
Yep.
growing up? Like, who was your favorite rapper that you could think about? Your top
Um,
3.
in like I had different eras, so
I'm talking about hold up, producers and rappers. I want the separate because you clearly are.
oh,
a
like
producer.
that did both the guys that did both.
No, separately or both. You
Oh,
decide.
just separately.
No, let's talk about both.
Um,
That is your bag. Guys who did both. Who are the goats? Number 1.
DM like in terms of rappers, it was DMX, it was
No rapper.
Kanye.
Okay, all right. X, yay.
But like Kanye as a rapper, like made me realize like, yo, you don't, especially because of him coming up in that Rockefeller era where like
Yep.
Hove and all these like state property, but he was himself, right?
Absolutely.
Like it was a defining
He
kind
changed
of
how I
thing
rap.
for me
He
to be
changed
like,
how I
okay,
rap.
right?
I agree with you. He
A
came up in the
Tribe,
same mental era. Yep.
yeah, Tribe, Q-Tip was an inspiration.
Nice. Of course,
Biggie,
Tribe. Legend.
yeah, like
Biggie.
those niggas, and then obviously Jay. I didn't really get into Jay until Volume 2. I didn't really like Jay at the beginning. I was more of like a Mob Deep. I like the harder New York
Bro,
shit. I felt
it's
like Jay was
literally
a little too
disturbing.
soft for me.
We just met each other in person. We met each other for 5 seconds in Toronto. But I'm telling you that
Yeah,
I remember when I was younger, I loved that mob shit. And when I first heard Reasonable Doubt, my cousins in Boston played it for me. And I was like, that's some extra jiggy shit. I really thought that was some extra jiggy shit. And then afterwards, they really,
Yeah.
no, listen to what he's saying. Then I understood, nah, it's just some elevated street shit. That's what I understood later. And then it crept up on
it's
me
hustler
today.
talk.
Bingo, some of my
It was
favorite
hustler
albums
talk.
of all time. But at first,
You
I was
you had to
into
start
Wu-Tang,
getting some money
Mob,
to really understand, like, right?
literally.
Like yeah, the mob shit,
Or
the Greasy
understand
Queen
dudes
shit.
who make money. Or I had to get around
Exactly.
dudes who were older making money. And I'm like, nah, them niggas wear the different pair of dunks every day. The niggas who make money in the streets are fly. They don't wear army jacket lining every day. They usually wear shoes that
Fact.
look like they never wore them before. So it kind of got introduced to, oh, no, these are the guys who were slinging on the block. These are the guys who were the connect. That's the difference. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyways.
That was that mafioso rap. But when it comes to production, Premier, Dr. Dre,
Of course, Primo.
Timberland,
Yep.
Neptunes, Pete Rock,
I could see the
Um,
difference. Did you
high
like Rock
tech.
Wilder? Did you like Rock Wilder?
I like Rock Wilder. I didn't like every beat from Rock Wilder, and it's crazy. Like
Because he took
I
risks.
didn't like he like no Rock Wilder. He had some unique beats. I
Yeah.
liked him because he was unique. And
That's what I liked about him.
The Rock Wilder is one of my favorite hip hop songs of all time.
Right?
Right? Like I go, if you had to put a gun to my head and they're like, yo, you have to rap every lyric or you're gonna die. Like, give me that song and
It's dope.
I'm living.
Definitely
I'm
dope. It's
living
like the
to
original short
I'm
song.
living
It's
for a
the
minute.
original short song that you wanted to replay.
Listen, even when I work out, I like if I want to plank for 2 minutes, I put on that song.
Dude,
Like that's how long I can plank. Even
absolutely.
with the
Let's get
intros,
it.
the exact time is 2:16.
Let's
I
get
know
it.
even the timing of the
That's
track.
how
So I'm
much he
like,
knows the
okay, I'm
song.
gonna plank for
216.
2 minutes and 16 seconds.
Let's get
You know
it.
what I mean?
I love playing at
Yes,
216
sir.
is nothing to be slept on, so we're clear. Listen,
Facts.
dude, I think honestly, man, your journey is something that needed to be documented. I appreciate you taking the time. He's literally at Niagara Falls in a telly. I noticed that you were in Australia a few months back. You were in Ghana a few months back, and you out there
Yes,
getting it.
sir.
You out there getting it. You're doing great things for the community. You're still putting your imprint on the youth culture in Toronto. You're connecting with the heavy
Thank you, man.
hitters internationally. And honestly, dude, I'm hoping that we work together. I respect your art, and I think you were a cool cat too, man. Honestly, you're a cool cat, and I appreciate you
Thank you,
taking the
man.
time.
Thank you,
And your
bro.
story is dope. Onward, upward. Keep winning. Keep getting it. Keep getting Junos. Let's not sleep. That's an award-winning Canadian king right there. All right. So
Oh,
enough
that's love,
love,
brother. I appreciate
and
you.
stay
Right.
blessed.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up when I come to MTL for sure. Yeah, we gotta chop it
What?
up, man.
Come
We
through.
gotta cook up.
Right?
Gotta get a drink or two. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. Honestly, I'm a big fan. And we got to just chill. When you come to Montreal, come through. When I go to Toronto, I'll hit you up and we'll connect, man.
Please.
All right?
All right, brother.
Lots of
All
love,
right,
King.
brother.
Keep getting it.
Thank you, man. Have a
Word.
great night.